Well, I did it. The old wrists were getting a little grumpy. So I caved and I went straight to the shipping yard. I mean, I didn't go to the shipping yard, but somebody did. That's where this thing came from, straight from China. This model is the AGT LS15R. The only thing that I have found about any of the lettering on these AGTs is that the R at the end stands for the Rator, some sort of engine that is evidently a copy of the Predator, or is the Predator, which is a copy of the Honda minus the name. So I guess I have not looked at this thing at all. So I guess this is the LS15R, and what I have discovered so far that sets it apart is it is pilot controls. We have lights, a hydraulic cooler with fan, and a lockout switch for the hydraulics. So with having a lockout switch, an electrical switch that makes these not do anything, I'm assuming that this thing is electric over hydraulic, which would explain the incredible jerkiness of this thing. I was trying to back this on the trailer. I know how to run a big hoe, not amazingly, but I can dig a hole. Driven tractors since I was, 5-6 years old. I think I was ripping around on tractors. Started in the barnyard, scraping the barnyard with the cows in there when I was 9, maybe. So I'm well aware of how to run some sticks. And this thing was difficult to operate. But let's pop the hatch first. Let's take a look at this chair. We got some screws in the back. This one, nothing. Doesn't do anything. Got a random hole here. This one's loose. This is like sort of operational. The best part is the armrest. Check that out. Fully functioning ish. But hey, what do you expect? So we pop the lid on her here and we can find the inner workings. And here we have an engine. The rear piece on this is cast iron. The part that made me bid on this one as opposed to another one is this right here, the auxiliary hydraulic cooler with an electric fan that's already installed and ready to go. Now looking inside here for the first time, I'm going to say that this is the kill switch, which would just be a mass distribution block with a solenoid to it that must bypass the controls up to the hydraulic arms. We're gonna have to do some more digging on that one, but we're gonna do some oil changes on these. The engine oil checker does not have a dipstick. I checked it when I was there, and yeah, there you go. There's a little bit of oil in there. Not enough to keep me happy. So we're going to change that out. We're going to drain the gas. I'm going to figure out how to drain the hydraulic oil. And then I'm going to start doing some measuring basically on figuring out how to get a hose attached to this, and then I can just drain that right out the bottom. Like I say, we'll pull the carb off, or the bowl off at least, drain the fuel out of there. Looking up inside at the control unit, one of these must be supply power, so it's not electric over hydraulic, but this is very, very twitchy. Got some Stickum heat and noise tape. The battery disconnect is just disconnecting the ground, and the bolts that hold, at least one bolt that holds the hydraulic pump onto the engine is loose. So that leads me to believe that there's going to be quite a few more loose bolts in here. Coming around this way, got the choke lever. It's there. Turn the fuel on before starting the machine. That's always a good recommendation. Let's see what's under here. Hydraulic fill tank. We got some normal grease fittings, maybe. I'll have to check that with the grease gun. I like that somebody went around and just put a little mark on all the bolts. Usually when you're putting witness marks on, that's a flashlight. Did not bring my Sharpie in here. Usually when you do a witness mark, you do one of these numbers, so that way you can see that it is loose or not loose. But what do you expect? We have a dozer blade in the front, some hose wrap, that's not a bad idea, auxiliary hydraulics right here to run the post hole digger. Don't need hydraulics to run the clam shell. We got a wide bucket, quick attach, mounting bracket, frost tooth, sand rake, normal bucket, manual thumb. I got to doing some thinking on there. I might see if I can rig a snowplow hydraulic cylinder to work on there. There were some at the auction, but they ended up going in the neighborhood of like $200, $180, somewhere in there, especially by the time you figure in all the fees. And it's just too much money for when you already have a thumb. But yeah, this one will add some cross bracing in here because that's loose and not going to last very long. But yeah, if we can just get a cylinder that fits in there, that would be pretty sweet. The other thing I was going to see about getting rid of these style grease zerks and either go to hard lines and plumb them all down to a grease bank, so that way you can just sit here and grease everything at once. We'll see how far I want to get into that. Battery is underneath here, which, like I said, I ran the battery in already. I did lower the sun canopy to get it in the garage. This is not a roll bar. There is a seat belt. If you have one of these, don't put the seat belt on if you have this in here, because this will not save you. Also, just don't try to tip it over. But like I said, I haven't looked at anything, so I'm gonna do a little pre-inspection here, figure out where drain holes are, how to drain the hydraulic fluid, and then once I know what I'm talking about a little more, I'll get into it and share it with you. Got some panels off, we can see what's going on now. Like I said earlier, I was assuming it was electric over hydraulic controls, but it is just, there is just one electronic solenoid that must energize and allow power to be distributed throughout the rest of the machine. Because if we turn the key on, turn the battery on, then we lock, so that is unlocked. That's power to the solenoid. It is now letting fluid run throughout the machine. So now the bucket is off the ground. Lock it. And the controls do nothing, which is a pretty nice option. But let's energize it and see. Okay, so it still needs to be running, evidently, which as far as safety goes, it's probably the better option. Still, do not walk underneath the boom when you have it up in the air. But like I said, I did some looking, did some figuring. Wire colors don't mean anything. We've got white wires tied to green wires, tied to red wires, and then yellow to browns over here. We've got loose, not connected bullet connectors. This hour meter, lovely, already has 19.3 hours on it because I forgot to turn the battery off, is hooked to the battery switch. So that is still on and still counting the clock right now. So that's a nice key. Let's take a look at that. It's very, very hard to copy that key. So yeah, once the ignition is on, once the battery switch is on, this thing is counting hours. So we'll switch that to the run position of the key, so at least we'll have a better idea of actual hours, not just how many hours somebody forgot to turn the battery switch off on. Down in here, we've got more wires. I'd like to see. Stay with me. Let's see what's underneath this real nice electrical tape. Ooh, yes! Even better. Just twisted. No solder, no nothing. Just twist it and wrap it with some electrical tape. So we'll be checking all the wires, putting some sort of anything really on there that's better than that connection. Like I said before, drain holes here on the engine. Currently it'll fall down here and then hopefully drain out this hole. Probably make a little tinfoil boat, slide the tinfoil underneath, poke a hole in it, it'll all drain out. We're going to check all our nuts and bolts. This fan cooler does, it pulls through and is venting out. So I think in order to assist some of that, I'm going to put a shroud in here and then duct it a little tighter to this so it's not just blowing hot air around in there. We've got a little more positive pressure and that should help draw air through. Hydraulic filler neck is here. That is vented and full of fluid. There's a temperature gauge in here, and underneath somewhere we can see right here is the main drain for that tank. We're going to do that. So you can set the blade down without, so this must be the blade. Other side is your auxiliary hydraulic connection. Test port or pressure relief valves right here. So those are usually an Allen key on the top. You loosen this jam nut, run that in a little bit, and you get a little more pressure. But I guess there's first impressions. Yes, I am well aware this is a China machine. Am I mad about this stuff that I found? No, it was well expected. I've been kind of talking to another couple people about it. I would equate buying a Bobcat, a Wacker Nelson, a Case, a Kubota is like buying Snap-on Mac tools, not even Blue Point, like top of the line, not even S&K, like top of the line stuff. And this is like it's like going to a Herberfurt that's closing down, and there's going to be no warranty, no money back guarantee. You buy it, it's yours. But good news is, over there we got a welder. I've got a toolbox full of Harbor Freight tools, and quite a bit of know-how on this stuff. So we're gonna start draining oils. More time lapse. I like to fold once, and then fold again, stand it back up. Same thing, fold it once, stand it up, then you 45 notch your corners. Same deal over here. .45 your corners. Now the taller you make your sidewalls, the faster you'll be able to drain oil. If you make short, shallow ones, it's going to spill everywhere and you're going to be no better than what you were with just letting it go. A lot of times it'll actually make a bigger mess. Now for this one, all we're doing, we're going to shove it down in here. And then we're going to stuff our beautifully made tinfoil down through the hole. Make it a nice little funnel. Taking our 12 millimeter wrench. That was tight at least. It's a very long drain plug. And our washer fell right into the oil. But there we go. Pretty simple. Got a surprising amount of glitter coming out of that thing. That's some shiny stuff. And all I did was drive it up on the trailer and then back it into the garage here. I get we're gonna have some for break-in, but I guess I'm going to be less surprised when this thing starts making some noise before too long here. But we'll put some fresh oil in it and see what happens. Well, since this has two fill plugs in it, we're gonna I put the jack underneath the boom to pick it up to get a little more of the glitter out of the engine there. So what we're gonna do while it's tipped up is we're gonna overfill it just a little bit. So we're gonna go to the front fill check hole. Hey, this one's got a dipstick on it. First we're gonna switch this with the one in the back, because this is a lot handier to get to. Because this one's just a plug. What do we got? High and low. It was in the low range, but I mean, there was oil in it. So we'll put that back there. And next, we'll take, yep, that's down there now. Okay, that'll live there for a while. I'm gonna take my nice funnel that I bought to add power steering fluid to a 15 Dodge Charger, because they put those in the front fender, and yeah, for power steering's in the front fender, and they want you to take like the whole front assembly off. Anyway, I just use that and snake that down. Fancy high quality Blaine's Farm and Fleet full synthetic 530, 4 gasoline engines, Dexos 1, GM approved Gen 3, API certification SP SN plus. It's also GF-6A certified. So all that means something somewhere. Best I know is that it's oil and it's slippery. So we're going to add, don't drop it, set that down, close the lid, make sure that that's somewhat stable, and then wish that I had a cameraman. Oh, look at that beautiful bean footage. Drain hole is about under here, like straight down. We've got the subframe, main frame, whatever right there. I'm kind of thinking that if I swing this thing around and put the wheels the other way, I'll be able to just slide, I'll be able to slide that pan underneath here, just like I had it, and drop it straight in instead of trying to move everything and funnel and catch and everything. So we're going to fire it up. I'm going to keep the camera rolling and see if I can put some holes in the ceiling, or I don't know, knock my toolbox over. Something exciting. So stay tuned. Also, on a side note, if you got one of these that has these, I would chop the top just like I did. It's one bolt, drop it down. Now your sunshade's in here. I still got 8-9 inches, and it'll actually do something for the sun. But anyway. Twitchy. And smoky. So let's see if all this actually did anything. I mean, close enough that I can just use something. I could probably just swing it a little more and get it right over here. So let's do that. Here's a question for you. It's probably too bright to focus, but in case you can see, this is clearly marked with a 3 right here. This is also clearly marked with a 3. It doesn't fit this way, it doesn't fit that way. So something's a little wonky here, but you'll understand in a second, if you haven't figured it out already. Boy, she sure likes to snap me when we're filming. One custom-made funnel. Picking up what I'm putting down yet? Gotta make sure we have enough angle of the dangle. Charger. $19, I guess. No, $17. $17 it is. Now this is going to be for all the marbles. Look at that. And I put my elbow in oil over there. But here we go, she's draining. It's not leaking until we get over here, and then it's going to overflow this thing because it's not flowing fast enough. There's something in the holes. We're kind of committed to draining this tank, I believe. It's just whether or not this thing will... Okay, I heard bubbles out of the top. Success. This segment brought to you by Red Green. Refilling our hydraulic tank here. That is a very small hole, which turns out the free funnel that comes with washer fluid jugs has too big of an opening. Found that out after we made it, so I'll just throw that over there. Use my little funnel, but here's the trick or tip of the day. If you have ever tried to pour oil out of a 5-gallon pail, you all are well aware that when you start pouring, she starts glugging, and the longer you glug, the worse it gets. So then you end up having to trickle it in like so. Here's the tip of the day. Turn the barrel to what you would call upside down and pour from the top, and you'll get a nice even flow. No glugging, no chugging. Now if a guy wasn't afraid to spill a little bit right out of the gate, you could hit that hole without even having to use a funnel. Hydraulic oil is full. Put probably 3 gallons in. Only took about two-ish out. I did fill it a little more because when I was backing it up on the trailer, I was getting surges, like it was running out of fluid. Also, more oil in the hydraulic tank usually can contribute to lower operating temps because there's more oil to heat up, more oil through the cooler, blah, blah, blah. That's up to you. Oil does expand when it's hot, so don't overfill it. Otherwise, there's going to be, not St. Helens, what's the spurter thing in Yellowstone? Geysers? The geyser up top. But I guess for right now, I'm going to go around and find all the connections that are just taped and wrapped, and use some other technology from Hayasataranika Master Make Work Easier. Basically shrink solder seals. I think if you take your time, they do all right. I'm aware that they are not high quality standards, but I don't need to be going around messing them with soldering and shrink wrapping and tying everything up. You're still going to end up with, like, what is that, 18 or 20 gauge wire trying to run this thing. So just some little wire maintenance. Like I say, all we're going to do is pull these connections. Oh, I guess that's not a connection. Anyway, going to find the connections, pull them apart, use these shrink solder seals, slide them over, heat them up slowly with the heat gun. The low temp solder will hopefully shrink into the wires, and then heat seal it up. Boy, that's some new levels of not my job that I had to stop the time lapse for. Check that out. Didn't even strip it before they wrapped it around that wire and just sent the bolt home. Just squish her tight. I'm sure something will make contact there. It's not like it's anything that has huge impacts on the machine's productivity. I mean, that thing starts green rotting because it really wasn't even that tight. I guess that was also this wire here that I put this nice solder on. Yeah, evidently they don't really care about that thing too much. So yeah, check that if you get one of these guys. The next mods will be welding a cross brace on the thumb, welding a cross brace on, we're plugged in so I can't get the camera down there, but let's use a handy pointing tool. Right here, gonna weld a brace across the top and across the bottom probably, because this pin does not have anything sticking out past the end, and that's a pretty long span, so we'll tack some metal on there, get that beefed up a little bit. I'm gonna go through and grease everything with some red sticky. It seems to work pretty good on heavy equipment, a lot better than the white assembly grease it looks like they have on it now. Overall, it's a lot of parts for a couple grand. I do think this is a little bit bigger machine than the 12 series. I don't know why. We did measure from basically the stick length being 3 or 4 inches longer. So what that gets you, I don't know. And this tag says another 100 pounds of capacity. So do a little more messing around here, and then I will throw in some gratuitous digging at the end. I got a couple stumps I'm going to try and dig out, and we'll go from there. Well, and this is the part where we test the tensile strength of everything that's hooked and not hooked or connected or in the nearby vicinity of. We have a 12,000 pound Badlands winch ran to a chain that's wrapped around the top of a tree trunk with a clevis hook, to a snatch block, back to the winch, and the truck is backed up to another tree. So we're gonna see what happens here. Definitely, the bumper only has 2 bolts in it, so don't be concerned about that. stump dug out. I guess the other day 2 mod I did already. Of course you can't see it right now. I took all the teeth off and put on, this is a regular piece of plow, what do they call it, plowshare, like off a snow plow or something. Just a big plate about that big, drilled holes in the bottom, bolted it on, and sharpened that up so it's like a knife. So you can see where I was basically shaving the roots off. But well, there we have it. Day 3. We'll get some mod videos coming up soon here, and so far for the money you spend on them, I'd say it's pretty good, so long as you know what to work on and know what you're looking at. So stick around.